Welcome to Deep Thought. The light will always shine. I'm gonna tell you what, we going through it these days, y'all. We going through it, and it seems bad. And you know what? It might come off as like one of my like Sunday morning inspirational type of things, but in these times, I got to bring this message more and more. I'm gonna tell you what, with all the darkness going on out there, and this is darkness. And let's just be real. With the economic situation, with COVID-19 economic situation, the protests, and we haven't even completed half the year yet. No telling what else is going to come up. No telling what else. I have a sneaking suspicion some more things are going to hit. I got a sneaking suspicion. I mean, some we ain't even thinking about is going to hit. But you know what? And let's be real, it's negative. You got people, on my business channel, I'm mentioning about massive evictions coming. You know, you have millions of Americans out of a job, and with the situation, they might not get it back. It's the COVID-19 is killing a lot of people, making a lot of people sick. It's changing the way a lot of things are happening. With just COVID hitting like meat processing plants and many food processing plants. You ain't seeing the same stuff. When I'm going in the stores, I ain't seeing, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been delivered to these places. And I'm looking around like, wait a minute. We don't have the things that we need, you know. We don't have the things that we need, and that's very key. But I'm gonna tell you what. Here's the thing: no matter how bad things get, and trust me, it could get worse. No matter how bad things get, no matter how things look, the light always shines through, which means it will get better. Like I give you an example, and this is from U.S. history, world history, in fact. Um, Remember the Great Depression. Remember the Great Depression, right? That was terrible. That hit it. The thing that brought the U.S. out of the depression was actually World War II. Because if you look at that period between like 1945 and about 1972, economically at least it was a golden age for the country. And there were of course many changes, the civil rights movement, sexual revolution, a lot of social things that people may not talk about as much. But it was a great period. It was a great period in this country. It was a very prosperous period. And that's coming off a very low period, right? But that's just normal. That's just normal because everything goes in cycles. You know, no matter how dark it gets at night, the sun always comes up. And no matter how long the sun stays up, because as we going closer to, the equinox, as we get closer, right? The days become longer and longer. But then once we hit that equinox, it goes, um, is that equinox or solstice? I don't know. It's early, y'all. Anyway, as we get there, once we hit that period, then the days become shorter and shorter, though it don't look like it at first. Everything in life is a rhythm. If you look at the universe, let me get into some metaphysics. Everything goes in a rhythm. Nothing stays the same. It's a wave. It's a wave. There's even a wave with people in life, you know? Like, for example, even on a small basis, if a person measured themselves in the morning, like measured their height, they'll be at a certain height. But if they measured themselves in the evening, they would actually be maybe a few centimeters shorter. And then go back in the morning, taller again, short, everything. Your bodily functions, your hormones, everything. And that's just life. The temperatures, everything is like that. So yes, we're going through a dark period. We're going through a dark time. It's going to be economic problems for a while. But in 10 years, we might go through a golden period. In fact, we should. It will at least be better, way better than it is now. It'll be a golden period because that's how it is. But then after, I don't know how many years, it could be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, even 50 years. Heck, it could be 100 years. There'll be another darker period. And then it's the rhythm of life. It's the circle of life. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But for now, we're in that dark period. I can talk about golden age and all of that, but we're in that dark period. But, my whole point, though, is that, yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff, but the light will always shine. In fact, I'm seeing a lot of good things. I've seen a lot of good things. Yeah, the economic thing is bad, but I'm seeing a difference how people responding to each other. Like when we talk about this, like the response to George Floyd, which was actually bigger than George Floyd. It was just a straw that broke the camel's back. It was bigger. It was just people just said it's enough. It's enough. But would we had the same global reaction if we didn't have this COVID thing? So it was something that was, even though people might, a lot of people might see the protests as dark or bad, but I see something good. I see people across races working together, across races and social economic strata working together globally. I mean, you had protests in places that has very tiny black populations, if at all. New Zealand, Australia, and people thinking about stuff more. And it wasn't symbolic. So it was like, yes, we got all this going on. We got the COVID here still. It'll probably be here for a few years, or at least out of control for a few years anyway. They'll come up with something to fix it, which is a light thing in itself. But, people saw it, and it actually probably lended to the response, because if we didn't have COVID here, everybody was working. It probably, it'd be like some protests or some people saying something on social media, but not to this level. And because the thing is, when things happen in the dark, what do? When things get dark, here's an example. Okay, you're in your house, everything chill, right? You have a blackout, the power goes out. What's the first thing you do? You find a flashlight. You work to get your power back on. And that's just the nature, but it's the flow of things. Because you can't have one without the other. And they're both good. Like periods like this is a time to sit back and really think about things. That's the thing. When you have negative stuff happening or whatever, that's the time to think back. Like one of the things that this COVID did, it really it forced people to see that they were either in a bad relationship or they strengthened the relationship they were in. I'm seeing plenty of families interacting more when I haven't seen anything like this ever in life. Yeah, you see sometimes when families together, but not on this level. Not on this level. And at the same time, you got some relationships breaking up and everything, but it's actually a good thing because that means there's truth in those relationships. That's still a light because then those parties can actually find who they should be with. If they even meant, maybe they're not meant to be with anybody, but they can figure it out. So that's a light. You have the economic thing. People might have to think about what they're doing for a living, how they're living and everything. That's a light. And definitely the racial justice things, because that racial justice thing touches everybody, regardless of race. It touches everybody because it's all a human thing. So that's a light too. So remember, the light will always shine. I want y'all to think about that. I want y'all to have a good weekend now. Peace and many blessings.